नहीं अभी
Very good morning to everyone. Shall we start, sir? So, first we'll just check the poets have reached or not. Gaurav Chakrabarti, Neha Bansal ji, Praveen Kashyap ji, Lenin Kumancha ji, Veera Rathore ji, Saran Muskan, Gagandeep Sharma ji,
Not here, ma'am.
Palipattu Nagaraju ji.
Namaste.
Yes, yes. So, two only are not there here. Yeah. They will reach. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So, very warm welcome to everyone on the second day of International Literature Festival, UNMESH, where in this festival we have more than 575 writers who have gathered, and people speaking more than 100 languages have gathered here. So it's an esteemed audience and esteemed poets who have joined. Young poets in all the languages of India have done exceedingly well for a very long time. They have opened new vistas, newer paths of perceiving, newer ways of expressions, and unearthed newer philosophies. Young poets bring in freshness, dynamism, ever-churning urgency, and empathy, all that are present in elder poets, but in a transformed way, measured and tempered by age, experience, and wisdom. Contrary to popular perception, young poets and new poetry in every era enrich their respective poetry tradition. Sahitya Academy has been promoting young poets in all the languages since inception, and this session is in continuation of that commitment to encourage and promote young poets in all the languages recognized by Sahitya Academy. So, first of all, I would like to start by welcoming our poets and also the chairperson. So, Sir GSR Krishnamurthy, Vice Chancellor, sir, will honor the guests. So, I request him to please accord welcome. Firstly, to our the chairperson, Sanjukta Dasgupta, ma'am. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Then to our esteemed poets, Gaurav Chakrabarti has joined. Okay, Gaurav Chakrabarti ji, नेहा बंसल जी, थोड़ी तालियां जोर से बजनी चाहिए. आई थिंक दीज आर आर द टैलेंट ऑफ आवर कंट्री. प्रवीण कश्यप जी, लेनिन खुमांचा जी, वीरा राठौर जी, सरन मुस्कान जी, गगनदीप शर्मा जी.
He's not here.
Is not here. हाँ, पालीपट्टू नागराजू जी.
Sir.
So, very warm welcome to everyone once again. I would like to start by introducing the chairperson of the session today. The chairperson is Madam Sanjukta Dasgupta. Madam Sanjukta Dasgupta is Professor and former Head Department of English and former Dean Faculty of Arts, Calcutta University. She's a poet, critic, and translator. She has 23 published books to her credit, including Snapshots, Dilemma, First Language, More Light, Lakshmi Unbound, etc. She was a member of the General Council and convener, English Advisory Board of Sahitya Academy. She is the president of Intercultural Poetry and Performance Library, Kolkata. She has received the W.I. Kamla Das Poetry Award. So big round of applause for the chairperson, Sanjukta Dasgupta, ma'am. So with your permission, ma'am, shall we start the session? 5 to 7 minutes to every poet. So we will start with Gaurav Chakrabarti. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Please, please.
Good morning, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be part of UNMESHA, the second festival since last year when the pilot project started in the hills of Shimla. And now, again, we are in Bhopal. And if it was the hills then, it's the monsoon here. And if there is monsoon, there is harvest too. Yes? So we can think of the crops that crop up at this time. But in agriculture, we think in terms of the crops, the Rabi and the Kharif crops coming up at particular times. But for poets, it's always harvest time. Yes? Whenever a poet makes a poet in the mind, creates a poet in the mind, a poem in the mind, and the poem is born on the page. It is the burgeoning of a sapling which leads to a book, and that's the harvest. And the new harvest is the project of Sahitya Academy where young poets, young writers are encouraged to publish and also to share their work with the rest of the world. It is not only about a known community, but the unknown readership in the country and outside the country. So a pan-Indian readership is also required, as well as an international readership. And all that happens with that first effort of seeing a poem in print or a book in print. And with that, I would invite Gaurav Chakrabarti, who is from my part of the nation, to read his poems. Have you got them translated? Yeah. Also. তাহলে তুমি প্রথমে একটু বাংলায় পড়ে তারপরে ট্রান্সলেশনগুলো পড়ো। Oh, বাংলাটা আনোইনি. Okay, so you can, and you have about 8 to 10 minutes.
Yes, and I would just like to read his brief profile also.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Gaurav Chakrabarti, the first poet of the session today, he's a noted Bengali poet, began writing since 2010 and has 7 poetry collections to his credit till date. A few of his prominent works include Shriman Sonnet, Popular Journal, Opre Pemgucha Godhuli Regiment, and Somritto Meghale, among others. Besides Bengali, he knows English. He's a recipient of prestigious awards like Sahitya Academy, Yuva Puraskar, Ekalare Kobi Kantha Puraskar, and Ethos Literary Award. So let's welcome Gaurav Chakrabarti. Yes.
Thank you, Sanjukta. I express my sincere thanks to Sahitya Academy for inviting me here today. It is a matter of great pride for me to have the opportunity to recite my poetry here in the presence of so many talented people. My participation in this Asia's largest international literature festival is one of the greatest events of my life. On behalf of all the poets and writers from West Bengal, I applaud Sahitya Academy for this wonderful event. Thank you. I bow down to my respected elders who are here and my love to those my age and younger. Now I'm reading my own translation of some of my poems. If you like it, please encourage me. The title of the series of poems is Though Love is Not Safe. Number 1. Beside your little, I left my whole. I left all the noise beside your stupor. I have awakened my heart with your silence. I put away some intense storm spells with my hands. My sorrows and judgments were wiped away by the shock of the cloud. In any enchantment, when the inner becomes light, I feel closing the eyes in the shade of a magic tree. A tired wayfarer is trekking down. I translate that shadow, translate that illusion, and set it tightly in front of your, my destiny. From a distance, it seems that Wish Forest has the smell of the past autumn. Thank you, thank you. Now the second one. Put your fingers on mine. Hold hands. Let us both survive together. How to return the time that has passed? What did someone bring and how much will it take when going? How much do we get by beating each other and throwing mud? In fact, all our small and big wounds are the same. We have only learned to understand ourselves as we are. No one looked at anyone and saw how empty the heart was. You have also misunderstood, and I have always done the same. Jealousy, stripe, anger burns whoever has it. Did you burn less? Do I burn less in this turmoil? In this way, we become more and more lonely every day. Our hearts are very broken face to face. Come, we are the only partners in this danger. There is no savior nearby. Put your fingers on mine. Hold hands. Let us both survive together. The third one, number 3. It doesn't matter who is spreading what in my name. I don't even worry about whose white hands will come and squeeze my throat. I never wanted to know who stole which sunset and stored it in whose warehouse. When has my carelessness walked along whose careful path? Or what color song with a river mixed with another river? I do not want any evidence of these events. All my work is about myself. All my biases will go only toward myself. I am happy with all kinds of degradation, humiliation, neglect, and failure. Any kind of sunshine or darkness suits me equally. One of my feet is down to the roots of the cosmos, and the other is out of gravity. A moon is leaning on my chest, and another sun is burning my head. Now is not the time to think about who is honest and who is the devil. Now, I just wrap myself inside my memories, looking out of hibernation at the distant horizon. I see one sun setting and another rising every day. And the last one. The messages you wrote and removed, and delete messages that are typed. Never have I said before, know that they are me. The tears you could never show, and the cooked food you feed me in your imagination. You don't understand anything about it. Know that it's me. The song that hums and rings on your lips, the song that keeps you playing, thinking about me. Maybe you don't understand even today. Know that they are me. The road that you walk every day with a different mind. The road you stop at the bend of every day. You have never felt anything. Know that it is me. The tiredness and delusions you want to wipe away back home. The pieces that know your comfort. You don't know that. Know that I am them. The wind that touches you silently every day. The man who holds your feelings without telling you. Never wanted to understand him. Know that it's just me. The poem you don't understand and the poems that flow inside you. Ask yourself, you will know they are me. Whom you ask to leave your city and once gone, that man cannot return. Do I also need to inform you? No one else? That is me. The lover who keeps you alive even as he dies. The lover who dies smiling at you. The lover who dies smiling at your reproaches and insult. If you lean close to that corpse and look, you will see me lying down. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very intense and deeply emotive and romantic poems. And I'm sure all of us felt that it was not only you, but it was you, me, and everyone.
Thank you, thank
that you
you.
were addressing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Gauravji. Now, moving on to the next participant. As we all know that this time Sahitya Academy has brought gems of the country under one umbrella. Doctors, engineers, and people who have excelled in different fields, but they have a knack of writing. They've been brought for this international festival. And one such gem is an IAS officer who is sitting in our midst, an IAS officer of 2010 batch, Neha Bansal madam. Neha Bansal ma'am is a young writer and poet. Her story in English is a collection of women-centric poems that were published by Sahitya Academy. She is an IAS officer of 2010 batch, holds a master's degree in English literature and cultural studies, and an advanced diploma of 3 years in German language. She knows Hindi, Spanish, and English and German as well. Presently, she is Commissioner, Food Safety, CVO, and Special Director, UTCS in Government of NCT of Delhi. Very warm welcome to you, Neha ma'am. It's over to you now.
A very good morning, Sanjukta ma'am, Malashri ma'am, Suman Kesri ma'am. It's a great honor for me to recite my poems today. So without wasting time, I'll begin. Ma'am, my first poem is called The Womb. As the first grains of rice cooked in the free-range cow's milk, aromatic with saffron from Pampur, were put in baby's tender mouth, everyone joined in to congratulate the beaming parents. The men patted the broad shoulders of the exultant father, who gave away sweets to everyone, and the women hugged her mother as she sat with the little Ganesh, a veritable Parvati, resplendent in coral-colored sari, on which golden peacocks danced in their full Kanjivaram glory. The euphoric grandmother sat amidst the older ladies with hoary and dyed heads, singing folk ditties to bless the little peace of their hearts. The Mossis and the Buas vied to outperform each other on Bollywood and classic dance. The guests having their bellies filled with savory and sweet delicacies, lazed and talked about how beautiful the mother looked and how healthy the baby was. They complimented each other's sartorial sense and whispered about many people's lack of it. They talked about mouth-melting moong dal halwa, but hinted at the absence of gulab jamun, a favorite of many. But no one paid attention to the thin woman with red eyes and a stoic face, who wore cheap imitation jewelry and a wilted gajra and sat in a corner trying to cover her leaky blouse with the aanchal of her polyester sari. Thank you. My second poem is called Sita's Test by Fire. Sitting in Ashok Vatika, as the feral war had ended, she waited for Ram to free her from her year-long captivity. She dreamt of the day she first saw him, as she walked demurely through the palace gardens that surrounded the shrine of goddess Parvati. Her body fragrant with nag kesar and jasmine, and wrapped elegantly in that ivory and gold sari that reflected the morning sunlight, as the white lotus-filled pools radiate the lambent glow of the golden sun. There she saw him walking slowly, but self-assuredly, with the eyes of the gentlest doe that contrasted those fierce ones of the younger and fairer youth, and also of the rishi she had known since her childhood accompanying him. Enthralled, she walked to the shrine, trying to calm her pounding heart, ignoring that smile that got etched in her thoughts, a smile that bloomed 1,000 sweet-scented tube roses and made her ache for the dark-skinned but unknown man in the strangest ways. She tried to pray to the goddess for marital bliss and a Shiva-like husband, but could only visualize this man. As the victory trumpets blew, her reverie broke, and she found herself still waiting under the Ashoka tree. When would Raghuvar come? Now her heart was beating wildly. Why doesn't he come and get me? As she felt a chill in her bones. There, she saw Lakshman, her heart filled with remorse as she remembered her taunting in Panchavati when he refused to follow the cry that was obviously a hoax. He came to her with downcast eyes and folded hands, and before she could convey her apologies, spoke in an emotion-filled, hoarse voice. He told her how she had to pass the test of fire as desired by her Lord and prove her chastity to the people of Ayodhya and the entire world. She had to prove that Ravan did not desecrate her, and still she was a flower worthy of adorning the exalted altar. Her heart cried in agony, but her eyes turned to stones as she walked calmly through the forest of leaping flames. She emerged out unharmed to the loud chants of devotees. When they witnessed a miracle, now sang praises to her fidelity. As she saw Ram, now openly crying, welcoming her with arms wide open, Her brain could not get rid of the image of Shiva carrying the charred corpse of Sati and dancing his angry tandav, as nothing could soothe his excruciating pain. Thank you. Do I have time for one more? This is about another woman character called Yashoda. And here it is. Won't you turn back and look, Kana, and see her tear-stained face and the eyes that stonily stare at the dimming sight of your caravan? Won't you see those quivering lips moving silently to bless you for eternity? Would you forget the touch of her scalded fingers that broke for you the hot bread into tiny morsels, and the sound of her jingling bangles as she churned out the frothy butter? The scent of her jasmine-bound hair you inhaled as she spun the fairy tales. The warmth of her hug on those moonless nights when the spooky monster chilled your spine. And the pearly white smile that grew bigger at your every big and small achievement. The courtyard chase in the mock anger as the butter thefts in the neighborhood clamor. And the midnight spying of the omniscient mother as you stole away to sing and dance with Radha. Would you not think of her as you fulfill your glorious destiny? Would you not think of her as you slay Kans and guide Pandavas on the chessboard of their tumultuous lives? Would you not think of her as you take 16,008 wives and prevent disrobing of Draupadi? Would you not think of her as you become the Narayana and come to be known as the incarnation of Vishnu? Would you not think of her as you herd your tribe to the resplendent city of Dwarka? And would you not think of her when you lay dying with an arrow stuck in your heel? Thank you.
Neha's book from which she read is called Her Story. And as it is obvious, these are narrative poems, and her story is so different from his story. Yes? And his story, as Gaurav read his poems, were so much of deep trust as you hold hands, the silent dialogue between fingers. But sometimes, as Neha has well pointed out, because Neha has two personalities. One is of the Indian Administrative Service, which is a paid job. The other, which is what she's dedicated to, writing of poetry, is Indian Aesthetic Service. That is also IAS. So you have two. So these are poems which are raising questions. These are poems rightly described by you as women-centric. These are not very fiery feminist poems, but they raise those questions which have yet remained unanswered. Thank you, Neha.
Thank you, ma'am. Wonderful, Neha, ma'am. हम आगे बढ़ते हैं और अब अपने युवा कवि को बुलाते हैं, प्रवीण कश्यप जी. प्रवीण कुमार कश्यप जी उपनाम से लिखते हैं. आपने साहित्यिक और शोध आधारित पत्रिका उपलब्धि और मिथिला के लेखकों और दार्शनिकों के विनिबंध उपन्यास का संपादन किया है एवं उनके लिए लेखन भी किया है. आप मैथिली काव्य संग्रह विषदंती वरमाल कलाकृति के लिए साहित्य अकादमी युवा पुरस्कार, पटना की चेतना समिति से महेश्वरी सिंह महेश ग्रंथ सम्मान, मैथिली समाज राहिका मधुबनी से यात्री सम्मान से सम्मानित हैं. तो बहुत बहुत स्वागत है प्रवीण जी.
नमस्कार. आज यह कार्यक्रम उन्मेष नाम से यहाँ आयोजित है. तो दो कविताओं का पाठन यहाँ किया जाना था. तो एक कविता मैंने कल ही इसी उन्मेष पर सोचा कि कुछ लिखा जाए. तो पहले मैं मैथिली में सुनाऊंगा, उसके बाद मैं उसका हिंदी अनुवाद सुनाऊंगा. उन्मेष. अन्हारक धारासँ निकसैत प्रकाश अछि. अन्हारक धारासँ निकसैत प्रकाश अछि, सूक्ष्म सँ स्थूल के क्रमिक ई विकास अछि. अन्हारक धारा सँ निकसित प्रकाश अछि, सूक्ष्म सँ स्थूल के क्रमिक ई विकास अछि। अभिधेय सँ ध्येयक, अभिधेय सँ ध्येयक अप्रतिम छवास अछि, नवीन ई प्रवेश अछि, यह त उन्मेष अछि। अंतशक आंदोलन पूरक आकाश अछि, अंतशक आंदोलन पूरक आकाश अछि, अविज्ञेय सँ ज्ञेयक फलित ई विश्वास अछि। अंतशक आंदोलन पूरक आकाश अछि, अविज्ञेय सँ ज्ञेयक फलित ई विश्वास अछि। प्रतिभा आ पराक्रम के, प्रतिभा आ पराक्रम के सफल ई न्यास अछि, अमृतक समावेश अछि, यह त उन्मेष अछि। चैतन्यक व्यंजना अचेतनाक संन्यास अछि, चैतन्यक व्यंजना अचेतनाक संन्यास अछि, तेज तप आ ताप में नित्य ई सुवास अछि। चैतन्यक व्यंजना अचेतनाक संन्यास अछि, तेज ताप आ तप में नित्य ई सुवास अछि। प्रकृति पुरुष के मिलनक उमंग अछि, उल्लास अछि, प्रकृति पुरुषक मिलनक उमंग अछि, उल्लास अछि, सृष्टिक आवेश अछि, यह तो उन्मेष अछि। इसका हिंदी अनुवाद। उन्मेष तम की धरा से अंकुरित प्रकाश है, तम की धरा से अंकुरित प्रकाश है, सूक्ष्म से स्थूल का क्रमिक यह विकास है। अभिधेय से ध्येय का अप्रतिम उच्छ्वास है, यह नवीन प्रवेश है, यही तो उन्मेष है।
बहुत सुंदर, बहुत सुंदर।
तम की धरा से अंकुरित प्रकाश है, सूक्ष्म से स्थूल का क्रमिक यह विकास है। अभिधेय से ध्येय का अप्रतिम उच्छ्वास है, यह नवीन प्रवेश है, यही तो उन्मेष है। अंतस का आंदोलन पुर का आकाश है, अंतस का आंदोलन पुर का आकाश है, अविज्ञेय से ज्ञेय का फलित यह विश्वास है। अविज्ञेय से ज्ञेय का फलित यह विश्वास है। प्रतिभा और पराक्रम का, प्रतिभा और पराक्रम का सफल यह न्यास है, अमृत का समावेश है, यही तो उन्मेष है।
बहुत सुंदर।
चैतन्य की व्यंजना अचेतना का संन्यास है, चैतन्य की व्यंजना अचेतना का संन्यास है, तेज तप और ताप में नित्य यह सुवास है। चैतन्य की व्यंजना अचेतना का संन्यास है, अचेतना का संन्यास है, तेज तप और ताप में नित्य यह सुवास है। प्रकृति पुरुष के मिलन का उमंग है, उल्लास है, सृष्टि का आवेश है, यही तो उन्मेष है।
बहुत सुंदर।
मेरी दूसरी कविता है सभ्य लोग। अपने ही मौन सा लड़िक रूसिक घुर अबैत छी अपने ही कोन में, अपने ही मौन सा लड़िक रूसिक घुरी अबैत छी अपने ही कोन में, उज्ज्वल स्निग्ध अतीतक आकर्षण में भावनाक ज्वार लहर बनबैत अछि। अपने ही मौन सा लड़िक रूसिक घुर अबैत छी अपने ही कोन में, उज्ज्वल स्निग्ध अतीतक आकर्षण में भावनाक ज्वार लहर बनबैत अछि। मुदा भोरकुआ जगि कऽ जगा दैत अछि नींद सँ, आ वर्तमानक भार सँ भरभरा जाइत अछि सब सुकल्पना। आत्म कोलाहलक बीच मुक्ति लेल छटपटाइत आ पुनः कल्पना कछेर बालू में धसैत अपने ही अपन बारंबार मृत्युक समदाउन गाबि रहल छी। आदि शतक से हम स्वयं बिगड़ैत बनैत आबि रहल छी। वात्स प्रेम लेल तरसैत एकाकी हम, वात्स प्रेम लेल तरसैत एकाकी हम, आत्म केंद्रित भऽ कऽ लोकगीत सब में मिश्रित प्रेमक शब्द हेरैत छी। वात्स प्रेम लेल तरसैत एकाकी हम, आत्म केंद्रित भऽ कऽ लोकगीत सब में मिश्रित प्रेमक शब्द हेरैत छी। शब्द चुनैत छी, जोड़ैत छी, माला बनबैत छी। अपन स्वाभिमानी पुत्र सभक हथ सँ आहत अपने ही आँचरक असंख्य घाव के निष्प्रिय भऽ कऽ सहित छी। अपने ही आँचरक असंख्य घाव के निष्प्रिय भऽ कऽ सहित छी। सभ्यताक देवाल पर कान देने भग्न भेल तक्षशिला, नालंदा, विक्रमशिला में, लुम्बिनी आ कुंडग्राम में सभ्य कहाबे वाला लोकक लहुक प्यास लप लप करैत जीह सँ डरि जाइत छी। सभ्यता के देवाल पर कान देने भग्न बेल तक्षशिला नालंदा विक्रमशिला में लुम्बिनी कुंड ग्राम में सभ्य कहावे बला लोकक लहुक पियासल लप लप करित जी सो डरी जाइ छी। अपने ही पुत्र सभक अनगिनत महाभारतक बीच अपने ही पुत्र सभक अनगिनत महाभारतक बीच दरभंगा कलकत्ता दिल्ली आ मद्रास में पसरल अपने ही रक्त में वेद हेरैत छी। अपने ही पुत्र सभक अनगिनत महाभारतक बीच दरभंगा कलकत्ता दिल्ली मद्रास में पसरल अपन रक्त में भेद हेरैत छी। कतेको सदी से उनीन भेल हम जगैत आबि रहल छी। इच्छा मृत्युक साप लेने नैतिक अनैतिक संघर्षक जाल में लपटायल अजगरी कुंडली में अंग प्रत्यंग के स्लथ होबय से विवश बाहर निकसैत आँखि से निरंतर भ रहल अपन मृत्यु के देखैत कतेको सदी से उनिंद भेल हम जगैत आबि रहल छी। अब इसका हिंदी अनुवाद। सभ्य लोग अपने मौन से लड़कर रूठ कर लौट आती हूँ अपने कोने में। अपने मौन से लड़कर रूठ कर लौट आती हूँ अपने कोने में। उज्जवल स्निग्ध अतीत के आकर्षण में भावुक ज्वार लहरें बनाती हैं। उज्जवल स्निग्ध अतीत के आकर्षण में भावुक ज्वार लहरें बनाती हैं, परंतु तारा भोर का जग कर जगा देता है नींद से और वर्तमान की भार से भरभरा जाती है सुकल्पनाएं। परंतु तारा भोर का जग कर जगा देता है नींद से और वर्तमान के भार से भरभरा जाती है सुकल्पनाएं। आत्म कोलाहल के बीच मुक्ति को छटपटाती और पुनः कल्पनाओं की कछेर बालू में धंसते हुए अपनी बारंबार मृत्यु का समदाउन गा रही हूँ। आदि शतकों से मैं स्वयं ही बिगड़ती बनती आ रही हूँ। वात्स प्रेम को तरसती एकाकी मैं आत्म केंद्रित होकर लोकगीतों में मिश्रित प्रेम के कुछ शब्द खोजती हूँ। वात्स प्रेम को तरसती एकाकी मैं आत्म केंद्रित होकर लोकगीतों में मिश्रित प्रेम के कुछ शब्द खोजती हूँ। शब्दों को बीनती जोड़ती माला बनाती अपने स्वाभिमानी पुत्रों के हथ से आहत अपनी आंचल के असंख्य घावों को निष्प्रिय होकर सहती हूँ। अपनी आंचल की असंख्य घावों को निष्प्रिय होकर सहती हूँ। सभ्यता की दीवार पर कान दिए भग्न हुए तक्षशिला नालंदा विक्रमशिला में लुम्बिनी और कुंड ग्राम में सभ्य कहलाने वाले लोगों की लहू की प्यासी लपलपाती जीभ से डर जाती हूँ। अपने ही पुत्रों के अनगिनत महाभारतों के बीच दरभंगा कलकत्ता दिल्ली मद्रास में पसरे अपने रक्त में भेद खोजती हूँ। उनिंद हुई सी मैं सदियों से जागती आ रही हूँ। इच्छा मृत्यु का शाप लिए नैतिक अनैतिक संघर्ष जालों से लिपटी अजगरी कुंडली में अंग प्रत्यंग के श्लथ होने से विवश बाहर आती आंखों से निरंतर अपनी हो रही मृत्यु को देखती हूँ। उनिंद होकर मैं सदियों से जागती आ रही हूँ। मैं जागती आ रही हूँ।
बहुत सुंदर, बहुत सुंदर,
बहुत सुंदर। Praveen, let me repeat what the anchor is saying. It's. Would you like to add to that? No, please go ahead.
No, I think beautiful expression of words, the words that you used, and it was coming from the depths of your heart, and we could relate to so many things, and it was profound, very profound. So excellent. बहुत सुंदर आपने बोला, बहुत सुंदर बोला.
So let me repeat again. Bahut sundar. And of course, this was a wonderful fusion of Unmesh and Utkarsh. Yes? And the fact that he wrote that first poem last night, maybe, or did you start writing in the hall itself? Oh, okay. So, all right. And then, of course, all of us were deeply moved, deeply inspired. The President of India, the first woman President of India, representing a particularly neglected section of our society, was standing in front of her, and we all got the chance to sing the national anthem with her. It was a great moment, and you celebrated that moment like a poet by writing a poem last night, and you even had the confidence to bring it to the public domain, because most of us keep on writing, reading, and doing a lot of, teacher work on it and making editing all the time. But you were so confident, and it's such a brilliant poem that you have written, followed by the second one also, very positive. It took us on a cultural journey to all those heritage institutions. And then in terms of city, I'm a little curious. You don't have to tell me, because that will take a long time, why you chose Darbhanga, Calcutta, Madras, Delhi. Yes? And left out so many others. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Moving on to our next young poet. He is from Manipur. He is Mr. Lenin Kumancha. Mr. Lenin Kumancha is a noted poet and writer in Manipuri. He has published 3 poetry collections: Mangtasava, Tali Bangdasu, Machu Shingi, Machu, and Mamtagi Manglam. Please pardon me for my pronunciation. He has also edited 2 books. He's the founder, editor of 2 literary journals in Manipuri, and is currently working as sub-editor, Sangai Express, Laishram. And he has been awarded with R. Kathing Tankul Literary Award, Abraham Egumgol and Binod Kumari Literary Award, Dr. Somen Award, and Sahitya Academy Yuva Puraskar for his poetry collection, Mamtami Mangalam, in 2021. So a very warm welcome to you, Leninji. It's over to you.
Lenin, please read the translations, okay? And just a small section of the Manipuri.
Yeah. Actually, I'm so glad here. As a Manipuri, I feel proud. Sahitya Academy giving the chance, and on other sense, I'm so moment of happy. Sahitya Academy present this gift to all of us here. It is original from our Manipur.
Mm.
Due to the present situation of Manipur, okay. Due to the present situation of Manipur, we are so shocked. I think all the nation and the whole world also shocked. This poem is I written in the last 4 or 5 years ago, but it is actually related to the present situation of Manipur. The title of poem is Live. I want to present only a few lines of this poem in my mother tongue language, Manipuri. Aiga thengnadringi mamang nahak hingduna lakli. Karigumba aiga thengnaramdraba nahak adumak hingani. Samane aishu nanga thengnadringi mamangdagi ai hingduna lakli. It is the just line, not complete. I want to present this line, this poem in English translation. The title of poem is Live. Even before you met me, you have been living. Even before you met me, you have been living. And if you have not met me, you would then be living. Even before you met me, you have been living. And if you have not met me, you would then be living. It is the same with me. It is the same with me. Even before I met you, I was been living. And I would still be living, even when I had not met you. To live is a trivial matter. To live is a trivial matter. Living together is but an intricate thing. To live is a trivial matter. Living together is but an intricate thing. But have not you thought much about living together? But have not you thought much about living together? Well, you might be a part. Well, you might be Well, you might have a part, but would like you to consider that what you and I think about life is not the whole of truth. Well, you might have a part, but you would like you to consider that what you and I think about life is not the whole of truth. Is the first poem. And my second poem is very short. The title of poem is Footprint. A number pits traveling tirelessly. A number pits traveling tirelessly have left these footprints. A number of pits traveling tirelessly have left these footprints. Footprints tell stories never ending, ever longing to be here. Footprints tell stories never ending, ever longing to be here. I too long to make a footprint. I too long to make a footprint like those imperishable one. To like those imperishable one is the second poem, and the last one is also very short, line of 7 and 8. The title of poem is Courage. Mosquitoes, squadrons of them, buzz around nets. Mosquitoes, squadrons of them, buzz around nets. A hole, an opening, a tunnel secret is what they are looking for. A hole, an opening, a tunnel secret is what they are looking for, and where they are. Of the unpredictable inside the nets, and where they are of the unpredictable inside the nets, once awake, could be their last moment in the hand of the one unaware. What a courage it is, I prize you, O insect. What a courage it is, I prize you, O insect. Thanks for all.
Would you like to comment? Go ahead.
I think we could really relate to the words that you expressed, although it was a little softer voice that you were speaking the poem, but it was about relationships, I suppose, and the expressions were very simple, but they were very touching, and we could really understand it. So big congratulations to you for that. Ma'am.
Hello. Hello.
Thank you, Lenin.
Hello.
Oh, she said softer voice. Actually, with a name like Lenin, she thought that you would be much more vibrant, and especially in my part of the country, as you know, there are, in every alley there is a little boy named Lenin. Yes? And Lenin has still remained a very major inspiration for the wretched of the earth, which is the maximum number of people. Yes? 70% of our population. So let me congratulate you first for your name, for which I don't think you have much credit. It must be somebody else. Yes? And the second is that your poems were trying to raise those issues that Manipur is going through, and the whole of India is also experiencing that tension that is so much a part of Manipur's experience right now. And because of our lack of understanding of the ethnic communities in Manipur, we always knew Manipur as a very beautiful place, and in Bengal, of course, Manipur is all associated with Tagore and Chitrangada and Arjuna. Yes, very romantic, but in terms of the ground realities in Manipur, what we are witnessing now has made many of us write poems on Manipur because that is the activism of poets. Yes? And a famous poet, Percy B.C. Shelley, had once written, Shelley had written that poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. Yes? And that is far better than being legislators of the world, because then you are totally under control. So, congratulations again, Lenin. And so we will go on to the next poet.
Yes, before that, I would like to mention that Das Gupta ma'am is giving expert comments and wonderful comments to every poet what they're saying. So big round of applause for her, I think.
My God.
Wonderful. It's
No,
lovely.
I was
listening to
really
you.
not on a fishing expedition.
It's lovely listening to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next young poet. He is Veera Rathore. Veera Rathore, alias Vinod R. Rathore. He is a noted poet and writer writing in Marathi and Banjara language. He writes for children also. His publications include Sensei Ves, Pighi, Ghaderi Vate, Hastakshep, Hadele Happi Jaduchi Jhappi. He is the editor of Kesula and Sakshat. He is a recipient of Sahitya Academy, Yuva Puraskar, Padma Shri Daya, Pawar Award, Marathwada Sahitya Parishad, Aurangabad Award, Yashwantrao Chavan Sahitya Award, Anand Fande Sahitya Award, Apte Vachan Mandir Sahitya Award, Padma Shri Namdev Dashal Award, amongst many, a huge list of awards. So, Veera Rathore ji, over to you. Please start.
सभी को नमस्कार। मैं सबसे पहले साहित्य अकेडमी को धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं कि एशिया के सबसे लार्जेस्ट लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल में यहाँ पर हमें आपने बुलाकर सम्मानित किया और अपनी कुछ भावनाएं कविता के माध्यम से मैं जो लिखता हूँ वो आप सभी से उजागर करने का ये मौका दिया, इसलिए मैं उनका शुक्रगुजार हूँ। इस सेशन की अध्यक्षता कर रही संयुक्ता मैम और यहाँ उपस्थित सभी श्रोतागण सहपाठी। पहले मैं अपनी मराठी भाषा से जो कविता है छोटी वो कविता पढ़ूंगा और उसके बाद उसका हिंदी अनुवाद पढ़ूंगा। वैसे मैं 2 कविताएं हिंदी में पढ़ूंगा और 3 कविताएं अंग्रेजी में पढ़ूंगा। मेरी कविता का शीर्षक है तलब। किती हौसेने तिने अंगावर गोंदवून घेतला होता मोर। किती हौसेने तिने अंगावरती गोंदवून घेतला होता मोर। तिला माहित नव्हते भाबडी होती अजाणती। तिला माहित नव्हते भाबडी होती अजाणती की अंगभर चरत जाईल हाच मोर म्हणून कळले नाही तिला। की अंगभर चरत जाईल हाच मोर म्हणून कळले नाही तिला। मोराने घर केले नाडी नाडीत आणि कांतीला दिले मोरपंखी आंदण। मोराने घर केले नाडी नाडीत आणि कांतीला दिले मोरपंखी आंदण। मेघ दाटून आल्यावर पिसारा फुलवून रंग उधळण्याची आता तिला तलब झालीये। आता तिला तलब झालीये। आता तिला तलब झालीये। इसी कविता का मैं हिंदी अनुवाद पढ़ रहा हूँ। जो आदिवासी समुदाय है उस समुदाय में गोंदना जो होता है वो उसका बहुत प्रिय होता है। उसी गोंदना पर ये कविता है। कविता का शीर्षक है तलब। जिद की रट लगाकर बड़े मौज से उसने अपने अंग अंग पर गुंदवा लिया था मोर। जिद की रट लगाकर बड़े मौज से उसने अपने अंग अंग पर गुंदवा लिया था मोर। कितनी भोली थी अनजान थी नादान थी वह। कितनी भोली थी अनजान थी नादान थी वह। उसे मालूम न था कि यही मोर उसके अंग अंग में रिश्ता जाएगा। उसे मालूम न था कि यही मोर उसके अंग अंग में रिश्ता जाएगा। चरता जाएगा पूरे शरीर पर मन की मंजीरों तक नहीं समझ पाई वह। मोर ने घर बना लिया नस नस में। मोर ने घर बना लिया नस नस में और देह कांति के हवाले की मोर पंखी चमक दमक। मोर ने घर बना लिया नस नस में और देह कांति के हवाले की मोर पंखी चमक दमक। अब जब जब बादल बरसते हैं, बादल गरजते हैं। अब जब जब बादल गरजते हैं, बरसते हैं, अपने पंख पसारे रंग बिखेरने की उसे तलब हो गई है, उसे तलब हो गई है, उसे तलब हो गई है। मेरी दूसरी कविता जो है घुंघरू नाम की कविता है, जो हमारे मराठी में तमाशा कहते हैं। जैसे कोठे पर नाचते हैं वैसे तमाशा में नाचते हैं, तो उस विषय पर ये कविता है घुंघरू। घुंघरू नाचते हैं दरबार में, महफिल में, कोठों पर और मेलों में भी। घुंघरू नाचते हैं दरबार में, महफिल में, कोठों पर और मेलों में भी। उनका वही धंधा रोज रोज नाच गाना। उनका वही धंधा रोज रोज नाच गाना रोजाना घाव कर देता है किसी शिकारी का वार। रोजाना घाव कर देता है किसी शिकारी का वार। दो निवालों के पेट की आग बुझाने देह सहती है अत्याचार। चाहे जो भी हो, बालिग होने पर पैरों में बांधने ही पड़ते हैं घुंघरू। यहीं से शुरू होता है झूठी जिंदगी का एक खेल। लेकिन घुंघरू कभी झूठे नहीं होते। लेकिन घुंघरू कभी झूठे नहीं होते, झूठा होता है समाज। घुंघरू बेचते हैं अपनी छमछम, अपना नाच। घुंघरू कभी न बेचते अपना मन, अपना बाज। घुंघरू बेचते हैं अपनी छमछम, अपना नाच। घुंघरू कभी नहीं बेचते अपना मन, अपना बाज। इस सारे काम की क्या मिलती है पेशगी? इस सारे काम की क्या मिलती है पेशगी? दो कागज के टुकड़े और जीवन गौरव। दो कागज के टुकड़े और एक जीवन गौरव नाची। सही है घुंघरू होते हैं नाचने वाले। सही है घुंघरू होते हैं नाचने वाले, लेकिन बहादुर होते हैं घुंघरू। मर्द को भी पैरों में झुकाकर नाचा बनाने वाले। मर्द को भी पैरों में झुकाकर नाचा बनाने वाले। मेरी एक छोटी सी कविता है, उसका अंग्रेजी अनुवाद में पढ़ रहा हूं। द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द विंग्स। द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द विंग्स। कम ऑन, लेट्स डिस्ट्रॉय दिस नेस्ट। कम ऑन, लेट्स डिस्ट्रॉय दिस नेस्ट. The nestlings must take long flight. The wise bird never limit the strength of the wings. The wise bird never limit the strength of wings. And my next poem, titled An Illuminating Lamp. When all the statues that inspire will be raised down. When all the statues that inspire will be raised down. When all the books that instill fearlessness will be burned down. When all the books that instill fearlessness will be burned down. When all the arms that fight for a good cause will be chopped off. When all the arms that fight for a good cause will be chopped off. When all the angels who bring the social change will be brazenly brutalized. When the villages the towns, the cities, and the metros. When the villages, the towns, the cities, and the metros will frequently be enchanted by the fear of death, the witchcraft. Then, during a dull, grey, gloomy day, then, during a dull, grey, gloomy day, a song of a fresh start has to be sung with absolute certitude. I too do. I too do kindle a verse under the darkness, kindle a verse under the darkness. And my last poem, title, The Bread and the Song. The bread and the song. Why are you so mindful of it? Who comes here to live forever? You do think sorrow will stay at your house forever. It may stay for a couple of days, treating you as its near and dear one. Even otherwise, you have a large heart. It's aware of this, but you shed tears in vain like a child. How many times should I remind you of not squandering your hard-earned money? You were the one to tell your son the story of winning a race while he stumbled on the running track. You know, the black cloud shrouded the ant-like dreams. The kite has been swirling around ever since, and we're engaged in a combat with the ageless hunger. It's somewhat new to us. Father died earning his bread. Since then, mother did my upbringing by singing songs, sowed the moonlight in the terrible dark woods, and lightened the burden of our hunger by means of her song. Then I realize how costly the bread is in the bazaar. Then I realize how costly the bread is in the bazaar. It's not easy the access to one's bread. How can you approach it at your will and pleasure? Like the tunes of a song, conversely, the song too is greater than bread. In the song, hunger loses its severity. I haven't forgotten it at all. You too shouldn't forget it. Who cares for the crust of painful wounds, for the losses whatsoever? One who is walking is likely to stumble. What do we really have, whether it's you or me? Hell robbed us of it. Let there be confidence in your heart. The ghost bent upon finishing me is known to haunt us even in a dream. Still we prop up the dreams that go on when we control the tears that well up in the eyes. Let's repose trust in ourselves. Our hut will shoot forth with feathers. I'll undertake the search for bread. You will go weaving a song. I'll undertake the search for bread. You will go weaving a song. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Ma'am. So I think Veera Rathore, your poems were really close to the realities of life. The struggle to earn the bread. And all those are really heart-touching and profound. And the expressions that are used even in the Marathi expression, which we could understand a little bit, were also very unique and very beautiful. So congratulations to you. Ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Veera. Your presentation was a trilingual one. So Marathi, Hindi, and English, and all three were absolutely riveting. There was no knowing which was a translation, which was absolutely your own creative expression. And of course, you covered the local, the national, and also the international by using these three languages. And of course, in terms of the content, because we are running short of time, I cannot elaborate too much. But you started off with more, which is the peacock. The peacock, incidentally, is masculine. Yes? Though your presentation made me feel the peacock is so tender and gentle and lovely. Yes? And then, of course, comes the ghungru, which is about feminist concerns, which was beautifully rendered. And then, of course, you ended with hunger and bread, which reminded me of a Bengali poet who had once written, and I think every Bengali knows this one short phrase, that the full moon looks like a piece of toasted bread. Yes, burnt bread, you could say. Purnimar chand jeno jhalshana ruti. Yes, so a piece of burnt bread and the moon. This sort of use of simile was fantastic at that time and remains timeless. And so we look forward to more of your powerful poetry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Moving to the next participant, Mr. Saran Muskan. Mr. Saran Muskan is a noted Indian writer and poet writing in Nepali language. He has two collections of poems to his credit, Manko Sahar and Mul Dharitra. He regularly contributes his poems and articles to several local magazines and portals. He is a recipient of first Prem Shepra Biroki Samriti Puraskar and Sahitya Academy Yuva Puraskar for his poetry collection Mul Dharitra. So, Mr. Saran Muskan, a very warm welcome to you, and you may start.
Thank you, ma'am. नमस्कार सभी को. मैं 3 कविताएं लेके यहाँ पर उपस्थित हूँ और पहला कविता बुर्ज सपना कविता का शीर्षक है और ये कविता अपना पहला कविता मैं राष्ट्र के निर्माता, राष्ट्र के सच्चे नायक जो खुद बंजर होते हुए भी हमारे देश को समृद्ध करके आ रहा है, हमारे देश को हरा भरा करके आ रहा है, मैं अपना प्यारे किसान भाइयों के लिए मैं अपना पहला कविता समर्पण करने जा रहा हूँ और समझ लीजिए ये कविता उन्हीं का जीवन गाथा है. इसका 2 पंक्तियाँ मैं अपनी मातृभाषा में बोलना चाहूँगा, उसके बाद मैं इसका हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन में पाठ करूँगा. बुर्ज सपना. हार्नु हुँदैन हारलास, सानैदेखि बाबाट सुन्दै आएको, तर सबभन्दा पहिला हार्न पनि मैले बाबाटै सिकेको. सपनाहरू खरको छानो चढेर सधैँ हरियै झ्याङ्गिरह्यो. हम्बल र झ्याम्बलले फुट्न नमान्ने कस्ता कस्ता चट्टानहरू उनको अघि चुर चुर भए, तर बा टुक्रेनन्. ये 2 पंक्ति के बाद मैं अब हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन में आ रहा हूँ. हारना नहीं है, हारना मत. हारना नहीं है, हारना मत. बचपन से सुनता आया हूँ पापा को, लेकिन सबसे पहले हारना सीखा भी तो उन्हीं से. सपने घर की छत चढ़कर सदा हरा भरा उगता रहा. सपने घर की छत चढ़कर सदा हरा भरा उगता रहा. बर्मा और हथौड़े से न टूटने वाली अटूट चट्टाने उनके आगे चूर चूर हुए, लेकिन पापा टूटे नहीं. बचपन से मार मार के मुझको पढ़ाया हुआ रॉबर्ट ब्रूस की कहानी उनका अपना कभी न हुआ. बचपन से मार मार के मुझको पढ़ाया हुआ रॉबर्ट ब्रूस की कहानी उनका अपना कभी न हुआ. साहूकार के लाल खाता के विरुद्ध उनका पौरख हमेशा असफल रहा। उनका छेड़ा शीत युद्ध उन्हीं का बीमारी का कारण बना। उन्हीं के बाजुओं को सीढ़ी लगाकर साहूकार की इमारत खड़ा हुआ। गांव में भाषण लहलाया, 100 दिन से सड़क बन गए। ऐसे ही बदला गांव का चेहरा। जितना पापा का पसीना बहा उतना ही छाया गांव में खुशहाली। जितना पापा का पसीना बहा उतना ही छाया गांव में खुशहाली। लेकिन गांव में पापा सदा किनारों में रहे, किनारों में ही उनका भाग्य मिटे। गांव में लेकिन सदा पापा किनारों में रहे, किनारों में ही उनके भाग्य मिटे। पापा अब दादा बन गए हैं, पापा अब दादा बन गए हैं और मैं पापा। ये पहला कविता और दूसरा कविता का शीर्षक है घोंसला। पलायन स्वेच्छा से हो या किसी पारिस्थितिकी कारण से हो, उसे हमें भावनात्मक और सामाजिक पहलुओं में पीड़ा ही प्राप्त होती है। ये कविता उन तमाम लोगों को समर्पित है जो किसी न किसी कारण से पलायन करने के लिए बाध्य हुए हैं। और कविता का शीर्षक है घोंसला। घोंसले भी तो देखते होंगे सपने, घोंसले भी तो देखते होंगे सपने कि उनके गोद में भी हंसे जीवन की गर्माहट। हमेशा रहे नए दोस्त उनके बाहों में, बस जाए स्थायी संसार उसके साथ। लेकिन जब उड़ना सीख जाते हैं पंछी घोंसले भूल जाते हैं। लेकिन जब उड़ना सीख जाते हैं पंछी घोंसला भूल जाते हैं। सुनहरे सपने छूने की कोशिश में वे घोंसले के गर्माहट भूल जाते हैं। भूले बिसरे छूटे हुए कुछ पुराने पंख, भूले बिसरे छूटे हुए कुछ पुराने पंख। ऐसा ही कुछ गहरी यादें जिन्हें धोया नहीं जा सकता, और कुछ अपने सपने जो कभी हकीकत नहीं बन पाए। सब कुछ समेटकर जीवन और मृत्यु के बीच अकेला लटकते रहते हैं घोंसले। पंछी के जवान होने के बाद, पंछी के जवान होने के बाद ऐसे ही हमेशा अकेला रह जाता है, हमेशा ऐसे ही सूना सूना रह जाता है घोंसले। पंछी के पंख जवान होने के बाद हमेशा ऐसे ही अकेला रह जाता है घोंसला, हमेशा ऐसे ही सूना सूना रह जाता है घोंसला। थैंक यू।
बहुत सुंदर, बहुत सुंदर।
और ये मेरी अंतिम कविता, इसका शीर्षक है बुद्धत्व के पीछे। बुद्धत्व के पीछे। महोदय, मैं शुद्धोधन की बहू, महोदय मैं शुद्धोधन की बहू, राहुल की माँ। इससे पहले मैं सिद्धार्थ की अर्धांगिनी, इससे पहले मैं सिद्धार्थ की अर्धांगिनी। जिस रात राहुल का गर्माहट भरा आलिंगन छूटा, जिस रात जिस रात सिद्धार्थ का गर्माहट भरा आलिंगन छूटा, जिस रात सिद्धार्थ का गर्माहट भरा आलिंगन छूटा, अमावस्या की उस मनहूस रात के बाद मैंने आज तक पूनम का चांद नहीं देखा। एक ओर राजमहल की तामझाम, असरफिया, हीरे मोती। एक ओर राजमहल की तामझाम, असरफिया, हीरे मोती। वहीं दूसरी ओर सिद्धार्थ के बिना ठंडे तकिए, एक उनीदा और थकी हुई सुबह। महोदय, महोदय 7 जन्म की सूत्र में बंधे सहकर्मी का जिसे एक सुख भी नहीं मिला, मैं वहीं अभागा हूँ। महोदय 7 जन्म की सूत्र से बंधे सहधर्मी का जिसे एक भी सुख नहीं मिला, मैं वहीं अभागा हूँ। जब वो तपोवन में बुद्धत्व को पा रहे थे, जब वो तपोवन में बुद्धत्व को पा रहे थे, मैं राहुल के अनुत्तरित सवालों से जूझ रही थी। जब वह मृत्यु पर विजय प्राप्त कर रहे थे, जब वो मृत्यु पर विजय प्राप्त कर रहे थे, कुल धर्म के लिए मैं पल पल मरते हुए जी रही थी। वो निर्वाण में सो गए, वो निर्वाण में सो गए ताकि बार बार ना उठना पड़े। लेकिन इतिहास में उपेक्षित मेरे पुराने अनुत्तरित अनिद्राओं का क्या, लेकिन इतिहास में उपेक्षित मेरी पुराने अनुत्तरित अनिद्राओं का क्या। महोदय, आपके बुद्धत्व के पीछे कहीं खोए हुए दुस्वप्नों से लड़ते हुए मेरे सपनों का क्या। महोदय, आपके बुद्धत्व के पीछे कहीं खोए हुए दुस्वप्नों से लड़ते मेरे सपनों का क्या। जी श्रीमान, मैं शुद्ध धन की बहू, राहुल की माँ, इससे पहले मैं सिद्धार्थ की अर्धांगिनी, मैं सिद्धार्थ की अर्धांगिनी।
बहुत
थैंक यू
सुंदर।
मैम, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
बहुत सुंदर। बहुत जोरदार तालियां। ये नेपाल से आए हैं हमारे देश में और उन्होंने इतनी सुंदर कविताएं पढ़ी। बहुत सुंदर।
सॉरी मैम, मैं आपको थोड़ा इंटरप्ट कर रहा हूँ। मैं नेपाल से नहीं हूँ, मैं वेस्ट बंगाल दार्जिलिंग से
ओके। इसमें लिखा हुआ है कि आप नेपाली भाषा। ओके ओके, एनीवे बहुत सुंदर कविताएं आपने पढ़ी घोंसले के ऊपर और बुद्ध की वाइफ के ऊपर जो थी, बहुत ही रिलेटेबल थी। मैनी मैनी कांग्रेचुलेशंस, बहुत सुंदर। मैम
Very quickly, of course, again, Saran, Nepali is the language which is used in North Bengal mostly, and we have a weird identity. North Bengal is within West Bengal. Yes, so you can imagine the disastrous understanding of geography for us. But then, of course, we welcome your poems. These were brilliant poems. You started off with the farmers, the tillers of the soil, the one who puts the bread on our plates, and about whom we never think. As you said, kinare mein reh jata hai. Yes, always in the margins. Only the farmers' movement that we witnessed last year or the year before is when probably we notice that there are farmers who produce the food that comes to our plate. And of course, the next one is about home and making home. Yes, making a home, the nesting. And finally, of course, what was very unexpected was a bit of Gautama Buddha bashing. Yes? So it was really a very good poem. You raised very important points about the neglect, the glorification of Buddha, but at the same time, the total marginalization of the struggling wife and her contribution in maintaining herself as a mother, as a wife, and playing those roles without the partnership that is required in a marriage. Yes? Which is why in Western societies, marriage is a contract, not made in heaven. That makes it a little difficult to get any sort of assistance if required. On that note, yes, once again, Sarad, congratulations. Keep writing. Yes?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And the last poet, no?
Last but not the least, we welcome Palipattu Nagaraju. Palipattu Nagaraju is a poet in Telugu language. Presently is working as a teacher at ZP High School, Vardhapalam for his poetry collection, Yalai Podasandi. He received Sahitya Academy Yuva Puraskar. He has also received Unmadi Sethi Sahitya Devi Award, Vimalasanti Sahitya Award, Kotapalan Narendra Babu Award, Saroji Venugopal Rao Award, and there are so many awards to his category. So a very warm welcome to Palipattu Nagaraju.
Namaskaram, madam and sirs. Many great poets in this session. And thank you, Sahitya Academy, to the great opportunity. My first poem, my Telugu poem, ప్రేమరుతువును కలగంటు. మనం ఎన్నిసార్లు అనుకోలేదు, చుట్టూ ఎల్లవలై పారుతున్న దుఃఖపు ఏరుల గుండెగాథల్ని పాడుకుంటూ, మట్టి చంపలపై జారే కన్నీళ్ళని తడుముతూ, అచ్చం అమ్మ వంటి అయ్య వంటి అమిత ఇష్టమైన ఈ నేలదేహంపై రవ్వంతైన ద్వేషపు ముళ్ళకంపులు మొలవని ప్రేమరితువును కలగంటూ, దిగుల్లేని దారుల కోసం, దుఃఖించిన ఒళ్ళు కోసం ఎన్నెన్ని కలల రంగుల్ని పులుముకోలేదు, ఎన్ని కుట్రల శూలాలు మొలవని చేతులమై, ఏ కుతంత్రాలు అడుగులు వేయని వీధులమై, నడిచిన చెలిమి కాలాన్ని బొమ్మ గీసుకుంటూ, ఊరి అరుగు మీద ఉంగా ఉంగా పాడే చిగురు బొగ్గల్ని ముద్దాడుతూ ఈ ప్రపంచానికి ప్రేమ తప్ప మరేదీ లేదు, ప్రేమ తప్ప మరేది ప్రాణం కాదంటూ పాల పెదాలపై పాటల్ని రాయలేదు. కాలం రాను రాతీగాల్లోకి దొర్లిపోతా ఉంది. అస్తమానం నమ్మించి గొంతునులమే మాటలు మారి పూటకో వేషం వేస్తూ ఎంచుకున్న పబ్బాలు గడుపుకోవడానికి, పెంచుకున్న పంతాలు నెగ్గించుకోవడానికి విద్వేషాన్ని నిప్పులు వంతులుగా విసురుతుంటే దేశం కాలిన బొమ్మల గుంతై నెత్తురోడుతున్న ప్రేమ తోటల దుఃఖం లోపల సుడులు తిరుగుతోంది. దుఃఖం దుఃఖం ఎంత దుఃఖం, అసలు ఎంతకాలం ఈ దుఃఖం? చుట్టూ కన్నీటి వరదలై పారేటి ఈ కాలవ కళ్ళలు తొడవడానికి మనం ఏ ఏటు ఒడ్డున కలుసుకున్నాం కదా. కాలువల అంచున ప్రేమ కొమ్మల్ని గాయపరిచే చీడ పురుగుల్ని ఏరిపారేయడానికే కదా కవిత్వాన్ని గొంతెత్తి పాడుతున్నాం. కవిత్వం అంటే కాలాన్ని కాపుకాచే కాపలాదారని మనం ఎన్నిసార్లు మాట్లాడుకోలేదు. కవిత్వం అంటే కాలాన్ని కాపుకాచే కాపలాదారని మనం ఎన్నిసార్లు మాట్లాడుకోలేదు. ఇన్ ఇంగ్లీష్ ట్రాన్స్లేషన్, డ్రీమింగ్ ఆఫ్ ది సీజన్ ఆఫ్ లవ్. Haven't we thought this many times, listening to the hard stories of stream of grief that flow as an encircled net, and feeling the tears flowing down the cheeks of the earth, dreaming of the season of love that doesn't grow even a few thorns bushes of hatred on the body of this earth I love as mother and father. Didn't we paint ourselves with many, many colors of dreams for these roads without sadness, for those cities without grief? Drawing these pictures of the period of friendship, we walk along becoming the hands that didn't bear and any tendency of conspiracy, that the streets that do not have any footprints of trickery. Didn't we write so many songs on these infants' lips, kissing the motherhood, singing lullaby on the village threshold, telling that nothing is life to this world they love? Time rolls into stone age day by day, when the talkativeness that changes its role every while, and always lets down standingly, and always lets down standingly, throws headed as fireballs to fulfill its selfish motives and settle it bed. The motherland full of burns, wells in the bleeding gift of the garden of love. What a grief! What a grief! How long the grief? Didn't we meet at this shore only to weep the eyes of these canals that flow as a flood of tears around, that flows as a flood of tears around? Don't we raise our voice to sing poetry only, to remove the pets that hurt, that branches of love on the edge of the canals? Haven't we discussed it so many times that poetry means a sentinel of time? Poetry means a sentinel of times. Thank you. My Hindi poem, it is translation to Hindi. नील पुष्प. सितारे तेट के जमीनी पर चिटकाने जैसा चारे फूल की खूबसूरती अपनी के अलंकृत करते वक्त हरे भरे आसमान पर पीले आवा सितारों के बीच पूनम चंदा सा खिलखिलाकर हमसाने वाले लाल केसरिया गरी प्यारी सखी अड़ोस पड़ोसी व्यंगास्त्र सुनाकर किलकिलाकर मुझे प्रसन्न डोले में डुलने वाली प्यारी झुकी कटी ना ऊपर उठा के जैसे खेती में चिलचिलाकर घर पात फेंकते हो वैसा देश बराबर बार हुआ भ्रष्टाचार की घास को मानवीयता गाड़ी हुई। इस राजनीति घास पात को चतुरता में मिट्टिया में पकड़ के काट कर देरों में कब लगाओगे सकी। मूंगफली उकाटने में तेरी चतुरबारी हथेली से बूम्स कांट हटाकर तेजबारी अपने बुरा रंग मिट्टियों से इन तेज कांड करने वाले गावें को इन सांड गोकरे सुबने वाले पीड़ा को जड़ों से साथ खेद के कब पेंग दोगी सकी। घूसखोर डाकू महिषा चुरा के चारा काकर भाग जाया करते मुठभेड़ के और धमका के ना भागाया करते तो दूत क्रूरों के नीचे फुटाकर कुचल जाए जानपद क्षेत्र तत्क्षेत्र सा देश और देश सा क्षेत्र क्या हो जाएंगे सकी। यह मुझे बेहद सता रही है सहचरी। एक तूफान से ही घर द्वार तथा खेत नहर क्या हो जाते। देश भर अधार्मिकता की बादले फैलकर चल भी जाली की विश्वर्ष बरस रही तो भी इस कदर शांति रहना अच्छी लगाती क्या। ऐसा चुप रहना क्या मानवता कहलाती। उगते सूरज को जुट से सजकर दिन भर खेती बड़ी करने वाली मेरी प्यारी स्वेदधरी देवागरु डाली पर के लाल काव्यों का गाना सुनाती हुई मेरी हृदय क्षेत्र के गाले में आराम लेने वाली नवचंद्रमा इस कदर दुखित जानपदों को देख कर तेरी बिंदीदार चोली पर कविता किस तरह लिखा हुआ हो। प्रियतमा जब मांस पीते रहते तब इस दात्री की यदा आती तो कितनी बार व्याकुल हुए। तब पेट के बगल में तब पेड़ के बगल में जिस दात्री पर जन्म लिए उस मिट्टी के लिए, तब उस मिट्टी पर अंत होने वाले जिंदगियों के लिए कुछ ना कुछ करने के लिए प्रेम से गालों को चूमते वक्त भी कई बार वादा लिए हैं ना। आवाज प्रेम से मेरे बुझ सैकों पर झुकी सुंदर नील नेत्र पांचनी, उदास रहिता जाति के लिए, दुखी रहिता जनपदों के लिए, नियत के बंदनावरे गली गली में पहरा करने के लिए, गली गली में पहरा करने के लिए अपने दसपोल जैसे हाथे पसरा के पुकार रहा हूं, नकार के आएगी ना। मेरी कविताओं की गुप्तता का नजरे में चिढ़ाई हुई प्यारी कविता लिखे हाथों को चुंबेगी ना। कविता लिखे हाथों को चुंबेगी ना। धन्यवाद। थैंक यू सो मच।
Yes. So was wonderful rendition, ma'am. Yeah.
Sorry. Once again, a presentation in 3 languages, one of the greatest, significant, I think, attribute of Indian poetry, that Indian poets can deal with several languages. They are mostly bilingual or even trilingual, and then there are the more versatile poets who can deal with many, many languages. So it's really brilliant on your part that you write Telugu poetry, but you made this effort to even read the Hindi translation as well as the English one. And these are also very, very powerful poems. And thank you once again.
Thank you.
Kalipatru.
So we have been hearing the expert comments of Sanjukta ma'am, but now it will be our great privilege, ma'am, if we could hear something from your own writings, and it will be a
All right.
privilege. Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you. Let me see how quickly I can, because we are running short of time. I'm seeing Professor Kambar over there, and he's not too pleased with all the time management that's going on. So, yeah. All right. I will read short poems. I knew that I wouldn't be able to read the longer ones. But I want to start with patriarchy. That's the first poem I want to read. It's a girl, said the machine. Everyone squirmed. Delete, delete, growled Pater Familius. Throw it out, this flowering fetus, a pernicious time bomb, a catastrophe waiting to be born. It's a girl. What? And then a jet black girl whom no one will ever marry, naming her golden-hued Sonali, is like rubbing chili powder on gaping wounds. Whatever their names may be, you won't ever find a fair or a dark girl named Kali, complained the sad goddess Kali. Where's the milk? It curdled this morning. Milk was in free flow. A huge cauldron of milk greeted the newborn. The girl hadn't even learned to cry. She hadn't even learned to eye the arms that picked her up. Gently, very, very gently, the callous and cruel arms dropped her into that urn of milk. There was no splash, no cry. Milk engulfed the little girl. Creamy, white, fresh milk covered her tender newborn skin. The tiny girl child drowned in the milk of human cruelty, even before she had had a mouthful of mother's milk.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful, ma'am. Wonderful.
Or, since Shubhad read a few, I
Sure,
insist that I should.
Please,
This
please, ma'am.
Yeah.
Welcome.
The second one is called Again. When did it begin? When Draupadi was disrobed? When Sita buried herself alive? When thousands of satis were burnt alive on their dead husbands' funeral pyres? When 12,000 honorable women, led by their honorable queen, dived into the raging flames to save their honor and piety? When, even some time ago, an 18-year-old pure woman was tied to the blazing funeral pyre of her dead husband. I'm thinking of Ruth Kanwar. Sati, self-immolation, all the accused were acquitted. Park Street, Kamduni, Hyderabad, Hathras, Unnao, Katwa, Hanskhali, Suzette Jordan, Nirbhaya, Bilkis Banu, rape and gang rape of female bodies, no caste, religion, or caste exempt. A timeless, unabashed national sport.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful, ma'am.
And finally, so that you can smile rather than look so despondent, can I have time for two short ones?
Please, ma'am, please. We would love to hear.
So, okay, the third one is, Oh Draupadi. As if 5 husbands at one go was not enough. The senior-most spouse gambled her off. She was dragged into the public hall, body shaming, stripping, gang rape by male rapist eyes, inevitable, unrelenting. Ogled at, raucous guffaws, denuded of shame. Stark, abject Draupadi. Myths about magical saviors wrapped her in mystique muslin. Draupadi now is molested, assaulted, abused, raped, and killed every day. In the real world, it is just the rapists and their victims. The invisible gods watch in petrified silence. No one wraps a comforting cloth around the drooping bare shoulders of a denuded Draupadi
Very nice.
in
very
our
nice.
times.
Very nice. Very true. Very true. Beautiful.
And finally, I think now there's some relief, yes? So this is called Millennial Sita, the new harvest, how the young poets, the millennial poets, probably would be able to think and write. So I sort of anticipated that I was back in college as a student in one of the most radical colleges in India, yes, Presidency. So if I had been a student then, I tried to imagine how I would have written about Sita. So, millennial Sita. Sita wanted to fly to Dubai. Sita wanted to gamble in Las Vegas. Sita wanted to spend nights in Paris. Sita wanted a bungalow at Luton's Delhi. Sita was an engaged, desiring subject. When dreams and desires were deleted, Sita trailed behind the commander-in-chief. Sita cooked meals for brothers and others. She loved mutton biryani and murg masalam. The brothers and others loved paneer and sambar. The brothers and others munched every leaf and fruit, ate everything that grew on trees and under the ground. Sita dreamt, salivated, fantasized, Alas, the elusive mutton biryani and murg masalam behaved as incorrigibly as the coy, elusive golden deer. Sita was not in chains. Sita was not encaged. Sita was bound within. Invisible borders, barricades, and speed breakers. Lines of control more dense than lines in graph sheets. Sita was confused. The books she read were freedom songs. The life she led, rigorous imprisonment, lifelong. Millennial Sita's degrees surrendered to the decrees of others. Others, mothers, fathers, brothers were everywhere. In Dubai, Las Vegas, Paris, Luton's Delhi, others, mothers, fathers, brothers wagged their fingers from their patriarchal towers. Millennial Sita did not dive into the arms of the ravaged planet Earth. Millennial Sita zipped up the spacesuit and left for the planet Mars.
Wow,
Thank you.
wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Wonderful.
और दो तीन नहीं टाइम नहीं है कोई बात नहीं we see he's becoming a philosopher. Timelessness, the Indian tradition. Yes. Oh,
We would love to hear, ma'am, please.
but I didn't even think of any others. All right, because I want to keep them short. I don't want to keep on and on. Sorry, I have to choose one which would not be very long, so that I'll read Draupadi's sari and end, okay? So this is, my sari was the national flag. My sari was my sacred womanhood. My sari was my shield, my indomitable armor. My glamorous sari, a mesmerizing banner of my coy womanhood. Then one innocuous day, strangers invaded the inner court. Strangers pulled me by my long black hair. They dragged me to the public court. The strangers were my kin, my Kaurava brothers-in-law. My sari held me like a mother. My sari, moist and patchy red, menstrual blood-soaked sari. Wise ones still debate, I hear, whether I was truly stripped or just dragged into court for an infinite while. My 5 husbands sat in the court like boulders. Their eyelids froze into pebbles. Did they really look at me and do nothing? My 5 valiant husbands, respected fathers of my 5 respective sons, they sat like stones with unseeing eyes. My senior-most loser husband, the dice game addict, had gambled off his fertile, son-producing wife, pretending to be deaf and dumb as his wife Draupadi's cries and curses rent the toxic air. The victors of the dice game were handsome, brutal men. The brazen one pulled my blood-stained, gold-hued sari, disrobing me yard by yard by yard. My sari pleats collapsed in a heap like wounded, helpless victims, abject in silent and shocked misery. The great Indian epic, Mahabharata, as you know, recorded my shame and dishonor. Lord Krishna, the Duke's ex machina, re-robed me till it became a tug of war, while I rotated wildly like a spun top between the divine friend and the demonic foe. The sari without end lies in my casket, still moist with tears, still stained with blood, furious with futile rage. The thousands of threads of that fiery sari wait like serpents to create a new epic in these transformative times.
Wow. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we come to the end of this session. Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone for your patience and indulgence and for being such wonderful members of the audience. And all the poets who were absolutely brilliant.
Including the chair.
Thank you. Thank you. All my Sahitya Academy friends loved me a lot. And